On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome restaurant owner Tom Anderson to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Anderson is the man behind Buck and Honey's, one of Madison's most beloved restaurants. From opening his first location in 2010 after the recession to now running 4 thriving spots known for their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, Anderson has turned challenges into community favorites. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you are doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios in the lower level of Buck and Honey's, Monona, just east of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on Facebook at Survive and Thrive 8791, the podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Before I introduce our esteemed guest riding shotgun today, I'd like to highlight the upcoming Survive and Thrive 8791 Mental Health and Recovery Conference taking place in Madison, Wisconsin. Join us on Wednesday and Thursday, October 29th and 30th at the Ho-Chunk Nation Madison branch office, not very far from Monona, Buck and Honey's. This powerful 2-day event will feature several speakers who will share their stories through mental health and addiction challenges and how they've learned to survive and thrive. You can register for the conference on our website. If you are a business or an advocate of mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Our website is surviveandthrive8791.com. This is our guest and episode intro. And according to the internet, and the internet is always right, correct, Tom?
Of course.
Of course. If you're in my home, I don't need the internet. I don't need Alexa. I don't need Siri. I've got my wife, Sarah. And she's always right.
Mine too.
According to an AI, artificial intelligence overview, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates that approximately 17% of restaurants fail in their first year, meaning about 83% survive the first year. However, the challenge continues with about 30% closing within 3 years and nearly 50% shutting down within 5 years. Our esteemed guest today has bucked the trend, so to speak, and has opened a restaurant not just once, twice, 3 times, but 4 times. He's opened 4 restaurants in the Madison area and is doing quite well. So today I welcome Tommy Anderson to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Growing up, Tom split his time between Lake Delton, Wisconsin and St. Petersburg, Florida. He would attend Wisconsin Dells High School and is a proud chief. After high school, Tom would take his talents to the University of Central Florida before realizing he wasn't cut out for school. He would eventually move back to the Dells to figure it out. After wearing many hats in the business world, he figured it out in a very, very successful way by opening not just 1, but 4 Buck and Honey's restaurants starting in Sun Prairie almost 15 years ago. Today, I'm so glad you could join us. Tommy Anderson, what is up?
What's up, dude? So good to see you.
Yeah, this is so cool. So I'm gonna give everybody a little history lesson here. I grew up in Wisconsin Dells, just like my man over here to my, if you're looking at us, it'd be to my left, my right, and my left. I don't know. But anyway, I grew up in the Dells, and I grew up eating Tommy Anderson's, his dad, Bomber's Pizza, which he's maintained that restaurant recipe. Maybe tweaked it a little bit, but pretty much the same kind of stuff. And Tommy was just a little young buck back in the day when I was in school, and he was probably on the Dells Chiefs bandwagon. And I've always followed kind of his career a little bit. And then he all of a sudden popped up in Sun Prairie, and this restaurant started, and he's done very well for himself. And then about a little over a year ago, maybe about sometime now, a year ago, I ventured over to your place and maybe asked if you'd be willing to take a shot at a guy with the podcast. And he's been sponsoring the podcast and the remote studios for almost a year now. And it's been turned into a great partnership. And I thought I'd bring him on for our 1-year anniversary or our 100th episode. So is that how it kind of went?
It is. Yeah.
It is.
It's exactly.
So here we are mid-September. I think it's September 16th. How was your summer?
It was good, man. It was good. Before we get into all that, I need to say how proud I am of you for, taking the leap and doing this. And when you did approach me roughly a year ago, I didn't know anything about podcasts. I maybe watched a few, to be honest.
Neither did I.
Yeah. Oh, I could tell by our conversation. But no, you had this idea, and you and I both talked a lot in the past about mental health and the path that you've taken over the last 10 years or whatever is, you're an educator, your students love you, you're a coach. And only, you have a passion for helping people and maybe helping tell stories and there's a lot going on in the world, and to have, leaders like you that are, thinking outside the box. I don't even know if it's outside the box, but talking about these things that are difficult or helping people find ways and paths to navigate whatever's going on in their life. You're a vessel for that, and it was really easy for me to help support that. But not only are you a great guy, and a good friend, but super proud of you and Sarah for doing this, and 100 episodes. Holy cow! Like, that's crazy. You're very committed, and it's neat to see, and keep up the great work, man.
I don't know what's crazier. I don't know what's crazier to see. By the way, I'll give you that $50 later on,
whatever.
On buttering the bread there. I don't know what's crazier, 100 episodes or 4 Buck and Honey's restaurants.
Yeah, it's been a ride. We didn't do that in a year, but it's been 15 years. We're about to celebrate 15-year anniversary next month, and we'll get into that maybe a little bit later. But yeah, your initial question, how's my summer? It's been great. We've done some lake time has been wonderful, and just spending time with family when we are free. We don't try not to travel too much of the summer because the restaurants are busy. We have big patios at all of our locations that we love being outside in the seasons in Wisconsin, and just spending time and get away to Door County. We're going to head there soon. But spending time with the family has been great, and we're also, on top of 4 restaurants, catering is a huge part of our business. So we built a fairly significant catering company where we'll probably do over 200 weddings this year outside of the restaurants, wedding barns and facilities and stuff. So that keeps us really busy. And when the weather's good, people are getting married in November through April or May, really. So it's been a busy wedding season. Our team is amazing and been able to handle all that. But yeah, kind of buckling into the fall now.
School started just a couple of weeks ago, and that usually means the fall. What does the fall look like for you?
Well, fall's if you're from Wisconsin, you love the fall. Changing in the seasons are just part of what we've grown up with, and there's something about that fall and season changing and kind of slowing down a little bit. Football, obviously, a big
Packer
thing. football. Hopefully the Badgers can show some signs of greatness coming up, but and we've got even October baseball. So talking about sports, Wisconsin's got a lot to be excited about.
And a great time to get to a restaurant if you don't feel like
That's
cooking.
right.
Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. Do you cook, or do you just eat here?
I tell you what, my wife's, her favorite restaurant, guess what her favorite restaurant in all the world is?
Favorite restaurant in all of the world? Culver's.
No. Our kitchen.
Oh, your kitchen.
Our home, yeah. My wife's a functioning introvert. She's wonderful. She can do great in any situation, but her favorite place is at home with our family, or even just the two of us. If we're cooking dinner, that's great, and we love to cook. So we cook together. We try to have some fun and find new recipes, and try to eat as clean and healthy as possible at home, because we're surrounded by a lot of temptation with all these restaurants.
Yes, you are. Well, with their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming, vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back, with locations in Sun Prairie, the home office, Monona, where we're at today, Wanakee, and Mount Horeb. Most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. And we got a little drum roll here. Pretty acoustically sound mahogany table here. With a gun held to your head, and you've got to make a choice on a dish from Buck and Honey's, what are you going with? One dish. Not all of them.
I think this will align well with you. I grew up eating Bommarino's pizza. It's my family's recipe. It's a thin crust. I made probably 20,000 of them in high school. And it's just, there's something about it, nostalgia of eating my dad's pizza. We have that here at the restaurant. So that's my number one dish, a Bomber special, no black olives, add green olives, extra crispy.
Extra crispy, no black olives, green olives?
Add green olives.
Add green olives, okay. I'm going to have to maybe try that sometime.
Yeah, yep.
That'd be Little Bombers.
Yeah, and then the hot combi is my other favorite one.
TA's hot combi.
TA's hot combi. That's I grew up eating that sandwich as well. So those are the two dishes that I've taken from my past, from Bommarino's, and added those. So the pizza and the hot combi, for sure.
I love it, and I've tried both. On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we talk about what was it like, Tommy's history, which I know a lot about, what happened to get Tommy on the podcast. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what happened and get into what it's like now. And we discuss Tommy's 5 suggestions for thriving. And I got to go backwards here a little bit. And those of you that are listening right now, you're saying, I thought it was Tom Anderson and he keeps calling him Tommy. Well, we got a little history here that I've known Tommy since he was a little guy, and his little sister Amy, probably since they're 2 or 3 years old. And we got a thing in the Dells where I can probably call him Tommy and get away with it, and he's okay with that. And there are very few people in the world that can call me Timmy. And the only people that can call me Timmy are Dells people where I'm from. So you could get throat punched if you're not from the Dells and you try to call me Timmy. But that's a little history behind that. Growing up, you split time, and I find this hard to believe. You split time between Lake Delton, Wisconsin, and St. Petersburg, Florida. And I only say that because St. Petersburg, Florida is probably pretty nice. What was life like growing up, going back and forth?
Yeah, well, you remember the Dells back then was more seasonal. It wasn't this year-round with indoor water parks and big resorts and stuff. So it was more seasonal. And my dad kind of had it figured out, and my mom, they were serial entrepreneurs and would have restaurants and different things. But the Dells being seasonal is that after Labor Day, things would really slow down. You could, tumbleweed.
We closed the gates. We closed
the gates to the Dells. So we'd stick around. I'd spend the first month or so at Lake Delton Elementary as my parents cleaned up from the summer and buttoned everything up, and then we'd hop in a car and I'd go live in St. Pete. I did this from age 3 to probably 11, and we'd hop in the car and go live in St. Pete. So I'd go to school there for like 6 months, 7 months, and then in like April we had to get back to get everything ramped back up for the summer at the restaurants and stuff. So that was my childhood up until I was, like I said, about 11. And then after that, things were starting to ramp up in the Dells. And my parents actually separated too when I was about that age, 11, 12. They stayed very close friends. And it was about, for me as a child, it was about as smooth of a divorce as you could ever ask for, because I had 2 loving parents that made it work for me and my siblings. And it really wasn't that big of a deal to us at the time, They just did a really good job managing that. But we lived in the Dells then full time. So middle school and high school, I was a chief. And just love growing up in the Dells and Lake Delton. It's a very special town, as you know. And there's a whole bunch of gems there that we care about dearly. Great relationships and a lot of great mentors too. That town is just built with people that aren't afraid of risk and trying things and innovating. And competition too in that town is pretty heavy.
So you kind of already touched on mom and dad a little bit. Let's talk about your siblings.
Yeah, so I have 2 older brothers that were roughly your age, within a year or 2. Twin brothers, Dave and Ben, probably a couple of the coolest cats I know. And
everybody used to love when those 2 dudes came to town.
Yeah, because they were in Florida a lot. Exactly. They were older, and they went to school down at UCF in Orlando. They were 6 years older, so I kind of followed them and went down there as well later. But then Dave moved to Texas, wouldn't get to graduate school at Texas A&M, got his master's, and so he lives in Houston now, and my brother Ben lives in Orlando. I've got some great nephews and nieces from them. We're very close. We try to get together a few times a year. Awesome people. Their wives are amazing. Very blessed to have great older brothers, right? I mean, people that I can look up to. They took me under their wing. They didn't bully me too much, pick on me too much, but they were great, just great role models, and I love them, and I'm very thankful for them. And then I've got my sister, Amy, my sister Amy. We're kind of Irish twins. We're about 12 months and a few weeks apart. She's a year younger than me, but she's been my right hand for my whole life. I mean, we've been thick as thieves, and she's super fun. She's very talented. She's our director of operations at Buck and Honey's. I talked her into joining our team when my mom passed away. Her and my mom had a restaurant in the Dells called the Green Owl, which also had Bommarino's Pizza. And that was on Lake Delton on Mirror Lake for a few years. And when my mom passed away, they were partners in that. So she joined our team when we opened Buck and Honey's. Pretty lucky. So we get to work side by side. Not everybody can work with their sibling or see them every day, and I just count my blessings every day that I have someone that I love and care about so much. We get to work together and beat around each other and have fun, and she kind of is the only person that can talk to me a certain way with the staff, and some of the staff are like, "What did she just say to him?" And once they realize she's my sister, they understand. So
yes,
it's pretty cool.
You have a family of your own, a wife and 3 children. Spin some yarns about them.
Yeah. We'll start with my 3 boys, Tommy, Brady, and Fletcher. Tommy's 26 now. He lives in Denver. He's actually engaged, TD. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, so very excited. We're planning a wedding. His fiance is amazing, and her family's amazing. Her parents are actually a couple of our best friends. It's not an arranged marriage, but people somehow think it is. But I'm so happy for him. They both have great jobs out there, and they're loving living in the West Coast a little bit. I mean, Denver is west, but they're skiers and hikers and campers. They go camping and skiing, every weekend. Brady just shipped him off to graduate school. He's going to SCAD down in Savannah at school, Savannah College of Art and Design. He's a very, very talented artist, and he's getting his master's there. And we're actually going to go see him in a couple weeks. I can't wait to go down there and see him in his element. Savannah's a cool town.
Yeah.
And so he's doing that. And then Fletcher is the last one. Man, he's a senior in high school, so it's kind of he's the baby. It's going to be a hard year, but fun, and he's wonderful. He just blew his ACL out last year, so he's he's about 9 months into that, so he's almost. We have a appointment in a couple days to get the full clearance. He did a round off backflip and blew out his knee, but he handled that really well. Super resilient kid and stayed positive, and sports are a big deal, so he was out for a year. At that age was tough. Yeah, senior year. He's actually doing the Youth Apprentice program for his senior year. I don't know if you know a little bit about that.
He's got a little bit of that. Yeah,
and he's working for. I made him come in and interview, and I asked him, what kind of impact are you going to make on this company, Fletcher? He did the whole thing, and he got the job. So he's been working with us. All my kids have worked throughout the company. It's family business. It's fun to see him here, 3 days a week during the week, and he's going to learn everything this year.
Well, he knows a guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, man.
So you graduated from Wisconsin Dells High School.
I didn't get to talk about my wife. Dude, if she watches this and you skip over Laura, that's not going to be good. And I'm just kidding. Okay, she's pretty chill.
We can't skip your wife here. I don't know how you were almost going to do that. But spin some yarns about her.
I said, let me tell you about my kids. First. No, my wife is Laura. She's the most amazing woman in the world, and we met about 10 years ago. My kids were with my previous marriage, and so she is the kids' bonus mom, we call her. We don't like the word stepmom.
Bonus mom, I like it.
Bonus mom, and she's amazing with them. I'm just so thankful that I met her. We got married 3 years ago, and life is wonderful, and I'm sure I'll tell more stories about Laura, but she's a very special person, and I'm just blessed and thankful that she's in my life. Hopefully she feels the same.
I got to think that she probably feels the same way as well. You graduated from Wisconsin Dells High School, WDHS, class of 1995. You're a proud chief. What were some of your favorite memories from when you were in high school?
The friendships that you make in the Dells, and a lot of family there. I don't know. There's just nothing like it. I cherish the Dells so much. I have a lot of friends who just went to a concert with 4 or 5 of them last week, and we had so much fun and just laugh and talk, and just really good people. They push you. They'll push your buttons too. They're not afraid of that. No. But everybody's got a nickname in the Dells. It's just a cool town, and just to see it grow in good spirit, and see some of these big entrepreneurs like the Todd Nelsons and Kalahari and everything the Wilderness has done, and just it's really neat to see how innovative people and entrepreneurs just think and aren't afraid to take risks and try things and also bring a lot of fun to a lot of people, memories. That's what happens in the Dells. Families get to create memories there.
After high school, you would take your talents and follow your two older brothers to the University of Central Florida, Orlando, to be specific, where you attended for a year and a half, and you mentioned school wasn't for me. How so?
Well, first year I did pretty well. Actually, I had like a 3.5 GPA first year. I think I dropped one class or something. But down in the South, especially fraternities were a big thing to help meet people, especially if you're from Wisconsin. You go to Florida, you don't know anybody. So my buddy and I, we joined a fraternity, and then the second year I lived in the fraternity house where I was the social chairman of the fraternity. Okay.
No way,
yeah,
really?
Are you shocked?
Yeah.
That was way more important than going to class. And it was so fun, but that's really what it was. And I realized, like, listen, I'm not into this going to class stuff, and I just wasn't good at it, and just wasn't engaging. It wasn't filling my bucket in any way, and I didn't want to make excuses as to why I wasn't into it, I guess. And I just knew that, hey, I'm not going to waste 2 or 3 more years here and then say this isn't for me. I just made a quick decision.
Or your money or somebody else's money.
And my dad, Bomber's money. He's like, hey, if you're not into it, get the heck back here. So it was just kind of a quick decision. Like, hey, you know what? This is fun, but it's probably not serving me really well for my future to weigh this thing out. And I'm a believer colleges. I mean, it's an institution that's great for so many people, but for me, it wasn't for me. So I came back to the Dells. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I kind of figured I was 19, 20 years old, and I'm like, I'll just hang out with my dad and help him like I always have. I used to work in the restaurants every summer since I was like 13 years old. So I'll work with him and my family and just kind of do the Dells thing and see where that takes me and maybe start something. And I did that for a while, but I realized, you know what? I think I need something bigger. I don't really want to be in the shadows of my dad or anything like that.
And he cast a big shadow because he ran a great restaurant, and he also was a prominent businessman in town.
He was pretty gregarious. I miss him dearly.
So do I.
He was a hoot. He had the greatest, most contagious laugh, and well liked, and just a fun guy. But yeah, I knew I was just a different path for me. So I actually, from there, I went and I tried something different too from the Dells. It was a sales job in Baraboo at an outfit that this is right when satellite dishes came out.
Yep.
So DirecTV, Dish Network, whatever. And I'm like, there was an ad that, looking for salespeople for this to sell these. And basically there was telemarketers that would call and set up appointments in the, Sauk County, Columbia County areas. And I would go and run 4 or 5 appointments a day selling these satellite dish in their packages with programming and all this stuff. And within like a month, I was the number one guy. I would 5 appointments would get set up. I'd sell 3 or 4 of them every day. And it was kind of real money that I could make doing this too versus, just scraping by. And so I really liked it. I enjoyed sales. I was talking to people. I was meeting people. I was on the road, hitting a point, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of said, what, sales might be my thing. And within a few months, I was making more money than I'd ever made. And I was pretty fulfilled, but it wasn't quite filling my bucket. Like, do I want to sell satellite dishes forever? Probably not. So anyways, I took a flyer. This is back when there weren't any, we had cell phones, but maybe it was like a car phone or whatever. And I looked at an ad in the newspaper, the State Journal, and was looking through the job ads. And
I got to interrupt for a second.
Yeah,
we got to talk. Might have to explain what want ads or classified ads are. Open up the paper and then in the back of the paper.
If I get rambling, TD, just slap me or something. So I don't. But yeah, still classified ads in the back of the paper. You're looking at them. You can look for cars for sale. You can look for pet, walkers.
Kind of like Facebook Marketplace, except in the print form.
In the print form. This is where you went to look for, we wanted to find out what movies were playing at the movie theater, right? Yes. you had to look in the newspaper. So anyways, there was this ad for this. It was a mortgage services company called Green Tree Financial. And it said salespeople wanted, it's like make a certain dollar amount per year. This is what you could make, and then it said no college degree required. And I'm like, let's see. I might have a chance to get to Madison, to the big city. If you're from Lake Dalton, Wisconsin, population 2,800 or whatever it was, Madison was the big deal. So I went and I interviewed, put a tie on and a suit and a coat, and went and interviewed for this job in Madison. I got it, and I couldn't believe it, and I was so excited. So I get this job. I go down there, and it's working for this company. Some great mentors I had there. Peter DeYoung was my mentor there when I came in, and this guy was a true pro, gentleman, a scholar at what we did there, the mortgage services side of things, and I didn't know what I was doing. He took me under his wing. Yeah, man, he taught me how to do the job. And within 3 months, I was the top guy. We had about 20
and he taught you too well.
He taught me too well. I was kicking his ass. Yeah. No, Peter was great. And so many other great mentors there too. But very thankful for that opportunity, because that made me really, really realize that hey, you know what? There are bigger things for me, and I can get out of this. It's not that I wanted to get out of the Dells. I love the Dells. Absolutely love it. But I did. I think the Dells has certain limitations unless you have, a great idea and brick and mortar and whatever. It's tough to break into it a little bit if it's not your own. So I did. I took this job, and that was like the start of in my career in real estate and banking. So I did that, worked my way up. I was the area manager, Conseco Finance, so the Conseco Field House. Yep. And so Conseco bought Green Tree and their mortgage services division, and Conseco started this. So when that happened, they hired me. I was like 24, 23 years old, really young, to be the youngest area manager in the company. My boss was in Overland, Kansas, Overland Park. And so it was pretty weird. Like, holy cow, they're giving me the reins here. But it was awesome, and I took it very serious, and I tried to grow the business in Madison, and it was great. And then one day they came in, and Conseco closed all their mortgage services division across the country. And they let go of everybody on the spot. And they gave me like 6 months severance, and it was like, I was like crying. I'm young, but this was very emotional because I had been building this team, and it was an interesting time to go through that. And I'm glad I did, because it's just one of those steps in life where you grow from.
That's a heck of a ride from the 90s to the early 2000s, yeah. And then we kind of get to all the way to 2008. So because our listeners want to hear the rest of the story and some of the pieces that are going to fall in place for the show, I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask why Buck and Honey's. Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, but Buck and Honey's does. In 2008/2009, the housing crisis and the recession had a huge impact on the work you were doing, and very successfully, I might add. Being a young professional and running your own business was looking really good, and you were doing really well. Little did you know, you got let go, 6 months severance, and you kind of had to figure some things out. So this would lead to something that I gotta believe you couldn't believe: 4 restaurants. So we're going to talk about that a little bit here. So please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365, and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words: I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the basement of Buck and Honey's, the lower level of their Monona location today, on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. In 2008, 2009, recession would have an impact on Tom Anderson and the profession you were succeeding in. He is here today to share how he survived and thrived during that time. So since the show has a mental health component to it, you had to be experiencing some anxiety or some fear or some depression during that time when you're basically come into your office. Hey, we're done. We're closing up shop. Here's a 6-month check, severance pay. And you're thinking, okay, I've been doing really well. And all of a sudden now I really essentially don't have a job. What was that like during that time?
Yep. Well, I actually need to back up about 6 years before that, because the Conseco happened 6 years before that. Okay. And then from there, I went and partnered with my dear friend Chris Franks, and we started, he had already started a mortgage company and then asked me to come join him. So we had a mortgage company and a real estate company for about 6 years that was pretty successful, called Allied Home Mortgage. It was a net branch, and we grew that. And then slowly, as things were going really well, we had real estate. We were heavy in some real estate. We had a real estate company, and then did home loans for people buying homes or refinancing their homes, all that stuff. So that was kind of that window there, and like really grew up. That's when my kids were starting to, I was having kids and raising a young family and all that stuff. But there was a time, maybe 2007, where I'm like, boy, things are going really well. I might be able to retire early. Like, this is looking good. And literally within a year or two there, that stretch of the Great Recession and the housing crisis, I'm like, I think we might, if this keeps going, I'm going to go bankrupt. So was very strategic on, getting rid of some assets and, cashing out 401k to survive. I mean, the whole gamut, man. And we were small partners on a building in Sun Prairie where it's about 30,000 square foot building where a location in Sun Prairie is. And we had a tenant in that building. So we managed the building and through our real estate company. And we had a tenant called Beef O'Brady's. And Beef O'Brady's is like a national franchise family sports bar. And we either had to find a new tenant or take it over ourselves. So that was kind of where we were at, Tim. And as far as that time being tough, it was tough. My parents always taught me to dust your boots off and keep a positive outlook. My mom was always great at, if I was ever like a little down in the dumps or needed a shoulder, she always helped me look at a different perspective. And so I had her still at that time. My dad had passed away many years prior to this. So your question of what was that like? Who did I lean on? My mom was a huge resource. My family, my Uncle Al and Aunt Nanya, I haven't talked about them, but they're like second parents to me.
To me as well.
Yeah. They're amazing people. One of those, the Dell's family that like supports the community and is there for everybody. So anyways, had a lot of support through family and got through the housing crisis, but we're like, how what are we going to do? And I could either keep doing the real estate and the mortgage lending and stuff, but I wasn't happy. It was miserable. Files went from this big to this big, and to be honest, lenders weren't looked at the greatest light at that time because of everything that happened. And real estate was like, we had a real estate company, but you couldn't sell your house, you couldn't buy a house. It was a pretty tough time. So, anyways, with this restaurant, one of our tenants, we either had to find a new tenant, and I had lived in Sun Prairie for some years now. So basically about 15 years prior to this, I'd lived here. Well, when I was about 21, I moved here. So 12 or 13 years. And there hadn't been a restaurant that we'd want to hang out at, man. Like a place with craft cocktails and a good wine list and live music but great food, big patios. There just hasn't been anything like vibey. You had to go into Madison to get anything like that if you lived in Sun Prairie. And so I said, I just talked to my family and just thought about it a lot, prayed about it, and I'm like, you know what? I grew up in this. I know how to do this. And I have a calling for something else because I'm pretty miserable in this and we're going under over here. So I literally, whatever chips I had left, which weren't many, along with some borrowing I had to do, the previous tenant moved out and we did about a 6-month build out and made it how we'd want, Buck and Honey Sun Prairie, and opened kind of in the middle of nowhere out on Bird Street, past the Prairie Athletic Club. And some great mentors there were Bruce Thompson, who owned the Prairie Athletic Club at the time, and his family. Paul and Pat Swab were a part of that, and they were huge encouragers. to our cause and what we were doing. Beth and Tim Malcarrick are other mentors and dear friends of ours with Holman Lindsay. They helped guide us through that a little bit, and we did it. And at the time, we were 50%. We were 51% owners, and then the Prairie Athletic Club family was 49%. And within a year or two, they were like, "Yes, you guys are doing this. You go ahead." We bought them out. So that's kind of that process there, taking everything that we had, like literally every chip and all this
pushed it
risk,
all in,
pushed everything in to build a restaurant for the community and be a part of the community, a place that we'd want to hang out at. That was kind of the goal, and give it all we have. I mean, care so much about our team because everything's on the line. And then also care about the community. Like, what can we do to be an integral part of Sun Prairie and get in here? And the timing was probably pretty good because it was such a scary time in the world for us to, maybe make some mistakes and get through this, but know that if we work hard and we stay focused on what we're doing and we build a really good team, we can make something kind of special here. And there were tough times, scary times where it's like, I don't know if we can, make payroll. We always figured out a way. But that was just some great growing years, and learned a lot about the industry and the business early on, and we found some success. And yeah.
What prompted you? So you got things moving well in Sun Prairie. I mean, going really well. I mean, we're driving from over there partly because of mainly you to have dinner at your place, but you do such a great job over there with your menu and your drink specials, and just the vibe is really, really cool. If any of the listeners haven't been to Buck and Honey's, I'm not just saying that it is what it is.
Thank you. What
prompted you to think, we can open another Buck and Honey's?
Yeah. Well, this is a little bit deeper story, I guess. And so kind of a crazy story too is we opened October of 2010.
Correct.
At the end of November, I found out my mom had cancer. I went to the appointment with her. It was the hardest appointment I've ever been to in the doctor, and they told us, and then she passed away in January. It was like it came out of nowhere, and she was gone. That was pretty tough to go through that, and when you go through something that's really difficult like that, I think there's there's two ways you can go. You can go the poor me side and probably maybe not come out of it, or else you can come out of it like a phoenix. And I chose real fast to have a growth mindset. I'd be the best dad I could be. And, it's been a road, but it's a road that I don't think I would change anything for it. I mean, it's part of life, going through tough times. But that was very difficult. And coming out of it, it's like, okay, wow, I can make it out of that and make it through that. And I had a lot of clarity. My faith helped me through some of that. I was, certainly praying and meditating through that and finding ways, and had a lot of amazing friends that helped get through that. Yeah, so just a lot of clarity coming out of that. And you have ups and downs and make mistakes, and if you learn from them, you can do a lot of great things. So through that growth time, you just have a lot of clarity on what you want for the future. Buck and Honey's number 2, Monona.
So you're operating now 2 places.
Yeah.
You're kind of maybe going back and forth in the early, and this is probably where you had to rely on Amy a little bit too, where if you're in Sun Prairie, who's running over here, and then if you're here, who's running over there. So you've got that transition going on between 2 places. How did you make that work?
It was scary. It was like the scariest thing, because that was even scarier than going into the first time, because the first time was almost out of necessity. Like, I've got to do something different. I'm miserable. Like, this is something that's going to hopefully help fill my bucket, and then also create a new career path. This one was like, all right, we did number 1. That was this. Number 2 is like, now you're really doing. And I took on a lot of debt to do this. I mean, it's debt, it was cash, it was just Monona. If you ever see it, like, there's 23 boat slips here in the Ohio River. 2 levels, a big 120 person event space. It's 13,000 square foot restaurant. It's not cheap to build these. And all of our finishes are top of the line, and just like, this was a huge investment. We have 2 kitchens, yada yada yada. Thank God it was before the pandemic, because it probably would have cost twice as much to build it now, and I would never have done it. It was a huge investment. Had some great partners here with the developers, are a couple of my best friends, and they had this idea to build this, this spot on it used to be a pretty dilapidated area in Monona with old buildings and stuff. They tore them all down. They have 300 apartment, roughly. 280 apartments, and then a hotel, and just a really neat mixed-use development here, and they wanted us to be the anchor tenant. So, yada, yada, go ahead and do it, all right? get the financing, have the idea, we're going to do it, but everything is down the line now, TD. Everything is.
Well,
yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where if you build it, they will come.
Hopefully.
And that's kind of happened with Monona, because you are in kind of a nice little area that's a little bit off the beaten path, but you can get here with Broadway right here behind us. And you can certainly get here by boat and car and horseback and crawl, scratch and claw. Then you open Wanakee, existing place, and you turn it in from a pizza place, I think it was, to Buck and Honey's, basically number 3. And then you go from number 3 to Mount Horeb. And really, both Wanakee and Mount Horeb kind of needed a place like that. It's not, it's pretty close to high end. It's got that high end look, but it's got the, middle of the road prices that people can, lots of people can afford to come there and have a great meal. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. What's interesting too, opening Monona, we were open and had some success out of the gates, and then the pandemic happened. So that was 9 months after we opened, where things are going good. Like, okay, we took on this risk, things are great, and then they shut the doors everywhere. So people say I should write a book. I was in the real estate and lending business during the financial crisis, and then I was in the restaurant business during a pandemic. But because of the pandemic, this is how I believe in things too. Luck is created, and Wanakee opportunity came. The developer there had a tenant in there. They couldn't make it. And it was a brand new build out that they had, and we had the opportunity to go in and make it and turning it into a Buck and Honey. So that was a neat process. We're in there building it out when everything shut down. Like people were like, you're opening a restaurant during the middle of a pandemic. Like, we literally couldn't serve people yet. It was still takeout only at the time in Dane County. So that was fun. And it's a great community. All of our communities, we try to bring in the history of each town into the location. So they embraced us, and Mount Horeb the same. All of my partners, developers on these are good friends. With the Tierneys in Wanakee, and then Steve Grundle is in Mount Horeb. He approached me. He had this very historic, really cool building, and he had already done a lot of work to it, a ton. And it had an event space. So we have a wedding space there that seats about 220. And I always wanted to have an event venue, a larger event venue. It's beautiful. It's got a bridal suite, and then we have the restaurant below it. So we did about a 9-month build out on a restaurant. But yeah, so that's how we got to 4 restaurants, man. Just boom, boom, boom. We had 1 for about 9 years, and in the last 6 years, we've grown to 4.
I was going to say to the guests and the subscribers and the followers that if you have not been to a Buck and Honey's and you live in Madison or Dane County, you should go and try one, because not only are you going to try one, then you're going to go and try the other ones, and hopefully you'll hit all 4 like I have. And then if you're visiting Madison, Wisconsin, there's a lot of different places to go to. I think that you should make Buck and Honey's one of your places to go to, and you will not be disappointed in the menu. You will not be disappointed in the vibe. And the vibe is, I think, to me, is different in all of the locations, because I think it has the vibe of the community, and you've been able to blend in so well when you've opened up these new places.
Thank you.
We are fast approaching the 15th anniversary of Buck and Honey's. Tell us what that means to our listeners. 15 years. And I thought it was more when we started talking before I set the stuff up. I thought it was more.
Yeah. It means a lot. I think, when you look back on, and I know that the Survive and Thrive kind of topic of this podcast is important. And when I look back at 15 years, it's all about the relationships, our team. We're very fortunate and lucky to work with some pretty cool people. Chef Sammy is he's an amazing chef, but he's an even better person. He's one of my best friends, but he's also he's a leader, like a mentor / spiritual leader. He's so good. And we get to work with him every day. And, my sister, and then all of our directors, and then our GMs, and our and all the way down to our servers, our everybody on our team. We just try to surround ourselves with really good people, and we make mistakes, man. We do. I'll probably make 4 tomorrow. I mean, it's just what happens. But I'm a big believer that it's what we do after that, and how do we how do we learn from those things and use appropriate language and communicate healthy. And cortisol, I used cortisol all the time in my language at work and even at home, but to bring our cortisol levels to a place where we can have healthy conversations. And I think when it comes to the mental health side of things and how much I believe in it and support it with everything going on in the world these days, and what happened during the pandemic for us, we were having a tough time. Kids are moving back from college, right? My restaurants are shut down. Nobody knows what's going on. But in our household, we were having a tough time communicating. Like how are we gonna, we were having day-to-day issues like, oh my gosh, we could use some help here. So my wife and I, we said, you know what, we heard about this therapist who is kind of a holistic therapist, and she's great with communication and talking about families and helping families get navigate tough issues or whatever. So we had her come in and just shoot the breeze with us. And oh my gosh, we'd meet with her individually. We'd meet with her as a couple. We'd have our kids meet with her. And it was like within a couple of weeks, dude, we were smooth sailing, brother. It was amazing. And it just enlightened us, like breathing techniques and ways to bring your cortisol levels down and ways to communicate. It's just amazing what she taught us. So we're going through that. And I'm thinking about all this problems that we're having. There was a lot of social injustice going on. Just everything in the world was so crazy at the time, and sometimes still is. I'm like, this would be really good for our company. So I brought her on. Her name is Kim Flood. She's amazing. If you're in Madison and you're looking for somebody to help you with a relationship with your children or your spouse or your employees, whatever, she's great. She came in and I put her on retainer, and any employee that wanted to meet with her, they could be paid for up to 3 sessions, and we still have her on retainer. Any employee can meet with her. And usually the toughest part about getting help too when you're having a hard time is that if you call and you want to get in, it might be 4 months from now that you get in, and it's super expensive. She would get any of our employees in within usually a day or two, sometimes 3 or 4, but at the most. She would meet with them at their home, at the restaurant, whatever. And anything they talked about stayed between them. They could talk about stuff at work, related to work. They could talk about stuff that's happening in their own personal life. So it was a great resource, and I'm glad we had it, and I support it 1,000%. That's why I support what you're doing, man. And your conference that's coming up is going to be great. I can't wait to go to that. And so anyways, it was important that we touch base on that.
Well, I think by you coming on and sharing all of these things, at one point in your life, you didn't have breathing techniques. You didn't have meditation. You didn't know what the heck cortisol was. But because you're on the podcast today and talking about those things, and then the other 90 guests that I've had on, people are sharing how they've learned to survive and thrive. And really, that's the cornerstone for the podcast is you're sharing things that worked for you, and all of a sudden somebody comes on here and sees, restaurateur. Oh, who is that? Well, that's like my uncle who's running a restaurant, but he's depressed and he's anxious. He should listen to this. And this guy from Madison, Wisconsin, Tom Anderson, has got these coping strategies and mental health skills that, you're going to, by what you said today and what you shared, is going to help somebody in this world. And that's the whole reason behind it. So
yeah.
Awesome stuff. All right, I'm going to say a word here, and I want to know what it means. Retirement. What does that mean to you when I say retirement?
Some days it's like, boy, that sounds great. I don't know what I do, man. I mean, I think, I'm so blessed. I mentioned it earlier, to have the spouse that I have and amazing children. So my kids are kind of spread out right now. So spending some time going to see them more would be nice. Fletcher graduates this year, and depending on what he decides to do next year, it probably will give us some more time to do that and availability to go see our son in Savannah, go out west to Denver to see Tommy and Taylor, and then whatever Fletcher might do.
Maybe Fletcher could go to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that. He's going to apply to Minnesota and Wisconsin. He kind of likes to stay close, I think, but we'll see. So I don't know, retirement, I don't really think about it too much. I don't know what we would do, but slowing down, we'd love to be at the lake and just enjoy that a little bit more down the road, but not looking. Who knows where we're going to go? You've
worked your rear end off to get where you are today with four locations in the Madison area, and people do keep coming back because of the menu, the menu change, the drinks, the vibe. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here are Tommy Anderson's 5 suggestions that have allowed him to survive and thrive. Closing the door on one business and opening the door on another. Here's what you shared, and I'm going to have you hit these in about 60 seconds or less. I'm going to toss these in underhand softball style. Can you hit a softball?
Mm-hmm. Try to.
Silent but strong. All right, here's what you shared. Number 1, honor your team and celebrate their contributions. Go ahead and talk about that.
Well, this is something that, I always say I'm not a very good listener, but I'm better than I was yesterday. I like a lot of things. I just try to be a better listener. And one thing that I've heard over the years is I feel it, like how much I appreciate and value and our team. And I'm really trying to be intentional about expressing that more. They're amazing. I mean, we couldn't do, any of this without people buying into what our mission and our core values are and all that stuff. So, but, try to listen to ideas from them and concerns. And that's another area I'm just trying to get better at. But the people I get to work with every day are amazing. They care about Wisconsin hospitality is what we talk about. And they want to take care of guests, and so do we. But we also want to serve the community and, give back. So everybody's on the same page with that, and I'm just so blessed to have people to work with.
Number 2, and you already kind of sprinkled this in it on the first one, is serve your community, give back, local causes, etc. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's just part of what we do. If anybody asks for anything, we give it to them. I mean, for whether it's sports teams but a lot of nonprofits in the Madison area that do a lot of really good things here. We have a couple of large initiatives that we support. Sunshine Place and Sun Prairie is one of them. I've been a founding board member for almost 20 years there, and we're a one-stop shop for people in need that houses our emergency food pantry and other social services, rent assistance, all these great social services under one roof. And it's been a lifeline for people in need. And we have a big capital campaign going on right now. And the stuff that they do for people it's out of this world. It'd blow your mind away. Take a tour at Sunshine Place if you're ever looking for a place to give back your time or resources. And Tellerian's another one that you're familiar with. The CEO of Tellerian's one of my best friends. He's an amazing guy, and they do just dual diagnosis with mental health and addiction issues, and they're the pros in the area. We've had people go there that have seen a lot of success, and we're just big supporters in helping companies like that, organizations like that are doing things that aren't easy. They aren't. And but UW, Children's Hospital, you name it, we want to be a part of the community. Those who support us, we want to support back.
Number 3, delight every guest and create a memorable experience at any one of your locations. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah. Well, again, if you have a passion for what we do, let's take it to the next level. So we have it's a great book out there. If you've never read it, Will Guidara, Unreasonable Hospitality. It could actually be used for almost any business out there, but we use it. It's got some great standards for how to take care of guests. Let's make them. When there are a lot of dining options out there, right? So if people are wondering, where should we go to lunch? Where should we go to dinner? It's our job to put Buck and Honey's at the front of their mind. They're always consistent. Service is good. The atmosphere is right. Let's hit that, because the biggest thing that matters is how a guest feels when they leave your restaurant. All right, that's all that matters, to be honest, because they're going to remember that feeling like, gosh, they hit it out of the park again. And when they go to tell somebody, asks them, where should we go have dinner over there in town? Oh, you got to go to Buck and Honey's. It's going to be, again, we're not perfect. Do we make mistakes? Heck yeah, and we're going to make more. But can we learn from them? That's our goal, and we're going to do the best we can there.
Number 4, guard your finances. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, I think it's the restaurant business particularly is difficult. You mentioned some of the statistics earlier about restaurants that make it. It's tough business, very small margins. You have to be, we do P&L. Your P&L is everything. You really have got to focus on where the dollars are going, what's coming in. Try to forecast as best you can, and and make sure too, if you pay yourself as well, because this is one of those businesses that you could just suck every penny back into it just because you care so much about it.
That is the number one rule in business. I heard is pay yourself.
Pay yourself. You do need to, you want to build, you want to just make sure you're taken care of too, because if you're not, then your mental, a lot of things could happen where it affects your business as well. So, hopefully you can. There's been times where I haven't paid myself for extended periods of time, and that's just part of running a business. But yeah, so do that, guard your finances, be a hawk with it. And I think you can suffer through tough times too, especially if you build a little bit of a nest egg.
And number 5, lead with integrity, vision, and passion. And as long as I've known you, I think those are the biggest things that you've brought to our relationship, and you weren't trying to. That's just who you are. Integrity, vision, and passion. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so growing up, even some people thought I was Eddie Haskell. I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm not trying to smooth you over or something. But thank you for saying that. It's very kind. Passion, to start with that, have fun, man. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. That's why I love it. If you don't have a passion for whatever industry you're in, good luck, because you gotta enjoy your job. It doesn't feel like work most of the time. I mean, my wife says it all the time, and we what your people ask, what's your schedule like? Do you go in here? I'm like, I'm kind of always on. It's because you care about it so much and you're having fun with it. Someone calls me at 10 o'clock at night from it doesn't bother me. No, they got a question. They're not bothering me. So having a passion, having fun with your team too. Like just yesterday, we did an all-manager retreat, and we took them out on this midnight splash. It's a 45-person boat on Lake Mendota, and had so much fun together. I mean, our team was laughing, we're playing games. It was a beautiful day. Gosh, I'll never forget it. It was great. So do stuff like that. Have some passion, have some fun with your team. But vision and integrity, I think, being present, it's something, again, I'm not very present, but I'm better than I was yesterday. My wife has helped me with that a ton. She saw that I was a little bit ADHD, or I'd have too many tabs open, or just I got to put stuff on a shelf and revisit it later. I've learned a lot of that, and that's really working hard at that, to be present. You have to work hard to be you have to work hard to be in the moment sometimes. So that's something I'm, again, trying to get better at, but being kind every day, just literally wake up and look in the mirror, be a kind person today, have empathy and listen and take care of yourself as best you can, stuff like that.
What a great episode. I'm so glad you could join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. You opened the doors here, and yeah, it's better than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be pretty darn good. Your story and how you had to cope with some uncertainty in the business world in 08 and 09 before opening a very successful restaurant business 4 times is inspiring. Your story reminds us all to have coping skills or mental health tools in the toolbox when a person is met with challenges of life. Despite that, you have survived and thrived. Our call to action, Tommy Anderson just shared a story about how he had to find his way and create his own path through his 48 years. He hopes that his story will inspire others to find their own path. Here are Tommy Anderson's 5 suggestions that helped him survive and thrive. Number 1, honor your team. Number 2, serve your community. Number 3, delight every guest. Number 4, guard your finances. And number 5, lead with integrity, vision, and passion. Final thoughts as we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. Are there any final thoughts, Tommy Anderson?
Not really. I thank you for asking me to be a part of this, your whole ride, to be honest. Again, a year ago, you asked me to help sponsor this, and I was all about it. And so I'm just so proud of you. And I think having this resource available for people to survive and thrive, all of your topics, all of your guests that have added so much value, I highly suggest people go and watch a lot of these or listen to them, because there's some really good nuggets in there, man, that people can use in their everyday life or in their business. And then, I would say go to your conference too. I mean, what's the date of that again?
October 29th and 30th.
October 29th and 30th. If you're listening to this, I mean, Timmy's going to be there, and along with you have a bunch of special guests, and it's going to be a really neat couple days, it sounds like, and just wish you the best on that, and keep doing what you're doing, brother. I'm proud of you, and yeah, we're all excited to see what's to come for you.
Yeah, the feeling is mutual. You know, when people come to town and they ask, where should we go eat? Where are you staying at? If you're on the west side, go to Wanakira Mount Horror. If you're on the east side, go to Sun Prairie or Monona. Either one are easily and readily available.
Thank you.
On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learned to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecor@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.